Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now, your host, Tim Johnson.
The Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry is responsible for administering many of the programs and enforcing the regulation that impact every aspect of our state's agricultural and forestry industries. At the farm and forest level, these industries contribute more than $10 billion annually to the state's economy. We'll discuss all this and more when the Commissioner of the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain, joins us on the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this.
Founded in 1984, BIC Alliance and its subsidiaries connect business and industry buyers and suppliers with one another for the betterment of all. BIC helps companies grow in 3 ways: aggressive sales and marketing campaigns in BIC Magazine, finding the right people through BIC Recruiting, and by merger and acquisition and related services through IVS Investment Banking. Contact BIC Alliance today.
The funny thing about Louisiana is that people don't often ask you why you moved home. They just accept it as the most natural thing in the world. Because of course I would want to move back home and be near my tribe, be in this beautiful landscape. It just inspires me. Whether it's a golden marshland, an expanse of sugarcane fields, a sunset through a cypress swamp, the outdoors here really are like nowhere else. You can start your day off paddling at Lake Martin, finish it off with music at the Blue Moon. I came home for my dream job, but also because I believe in Louisiana and where it's going. We're building a world-class Central Park in Louisiana, planned by the members of this community. And I just bought my dream home, a sustainable house designed and built by the architecture students here at the university. My electricity bill was $30 last month. The life I thought I would have in Austin is actually happening right here in Louisiana. I'm E.B. Brooks. I have the job I want in the place I love.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the soccer star to the soccer mom. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Consumers and property owners with a construction project can have a very successful result or a regretful experience that could have been avoided. Before beginning any construction project in Louisiana, verify licensure of the contractor and check references. Scammers may claim to be licensed or bonded, but you should ask for a copy of the license. For additional information, contact the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors or go to the website lslbc.louisiana.gov. Licensed and qualified contractors. It's the law.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Very pleased to be joined by the Commissioner of the Department of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain. Mike, welcome.
Here, thank you. Thank you very much.
Glad you're here. Doctorate in veterinary medicine from LSU, former state representative. You were elected as the commissioner in 2007. Give our viewers a little bit more about your background.
Well, I was born and raised on a cattle farm. My family's been farming for generations. I went to a small grammar school, the same one my grandmother went to, in Covington High School, public school, and was able to come to LSU, and 7 years later graduated with a doctorate in veterinary medicine. I met my wife at veterinary school, and we opened a practice together, and we practiced throughout rural Louisiana in the Florida parishes. It was a tremendous, tremendous thing to do together. I still have the practice. There are 4 doctors at my private practice. I start my day at the practice early in the morning and then before coming here to Baton Rouge. So veterinary medicine's been very good to me, and I actually practice a great deal of veterinary medicine as commissioner because I'm responsible for animal health and food safety.
It's amazing, and I would suspect that the fact that you still start your day in your practice offers a perspective to you that maybe other elected officials don't have in a similar position.
Well, I would hope so. When you look at what we do and the way that I manage the department, the same way I manage my own private business, So at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm in my private office, and we're there, and we're preparing for the issues of the day, and I end the day back at my private office when I do go back home to Covington.
It really does, and I know that drive is probably gives you a lot of time to think as well. We're going to talk about the overall impact of agriculture and forestry, the industries in our state, but before we do that, give our viewers a sort of a big picture overview of the Department of Agriculture and Forestry.
Well, the Department of Agriculture and Forestry is actually one of the largest regulatory agencies in the state. I am charged in the Constitution to perform all functions of the state for the promotion, the protection, and the advancement of agriculture, forestry, and aquaculture. But actually we have 60 program areas. We have 23 major boards, commissions, and authorities, and 44 soil and water conservation districts. So you're looking at 67 boards, commissions, and authorities. That's over 400 people there. We have more than 500 employees. So I'm the Commissioner of Agriculture, I'm the Commissioner of Forestry, I'm the Commissioner of the Office of Metrology, Weights, Measures, and Standards. I'm also the Commissioner of Soil and Water Conservation, Animal Health and Food Safety, over all the grains, over the grain elevators, arborists, florists. If you look at animal health, all the diseases, animal health, food safety, and we have also ancillary. We have state land, we have forest. We have actually a large campground. We have a banking system. So it's a very, very large industry. But we are directly responsible for oversight of now $12.7 billion in the economy.
It's amazing, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But with all of that responsibility, I know you've got a good team surrounding you, but what do you focus on day to day?
Well, I'm blessed that I have an incredible team that works with me. If you look at a typical Monday morning, for instance, I start at about 7 in my private office, and then I'm briefed on the issues there, and then I do it's a syndicated talk show, radio show. It's on 50 stations where we get out the message and the issue of the day. We come to Baton Rouge, and on the way to Baton Rouge, I'm talking to my officers about what's going on. Then we hold an officers meeting, and then we deal with those issues in each individual agency. And so we start off, it's a round table, and we deal with it, and each assistant commissioner is responsible for what is under their jurisdiction, whether it's pesticides or whether it's soil and water conservation or whether or not it's an issue dealing with gas pumps or scales or if it's an animal health issue. And then once we do that, generally speaking, if there's a board or a commission meeting that day, I will attend that. And then we start having meetings basically every 30 minutes throughout the rest of the day. And of course, then if I have to travel somewhere in the state, and I do 7 to 10 traveling expeditions per week somewhere in the state. But on each individual day, we generally start off a meet with my chief of staff, who's also the state veterinarian, and then we talk about, what the issue or the problem of the day is. And then we begin dealing with state issues, regulatory issues, and federal issues. And the biggest problem I have is that by 5:30, the day is ending, and 6 o'clock, it's time to go home.
And it probably goes by as busy as you are very, very quickly. We got about 2.5 minutes left in this segment, so I want to jump into the significance of agriculture, forestry, aquaculture in the state's economy. Recent report that has come out, I think it was in the Baton Rouge Advocate last week, talked about agriculture and forestry having their biggest year ever, $12.7 billion impact on the state's economy. What's contributed to the growth? I think I saw that that's a 7.6% increase over last year, and over $900 million more.
This year alone. If you go back 7 years, we were at $5.9 billion. Now we're at $12.7.
Wow.
We fully expect to be at $25 billion in 10 years. What is contributing to that is, one, if you look, record soybean yields, United States record this year. Record soybean yields on record number of acres with a strong price. If you look at a continual growth in our efficiency and our productivity, increased productivity, and that is brought about by the research from our ag centers and our universities and our private companies, as well as now, when you talk about agriculture, it's high technology. It's a very intense. If you want to see where science, technology, innovation, and application, our farmers are very dedicated, and we have some of the richest soil in the world. But we're also blessed the fact that we are a maritime state. Look what's going on right here in Baton Rouge. Look at the investment in this port. And I've already had one meeting today on ports, with a manager of a port. and talking about, again, investment at that port as we export all these different commodities. And look what's going on in California. They're in a drought. We have adequate rainfall. So we have superior soil. We have 85% of Louisiana's land mass is in agriculture, forestry, and aquaculture. And we have a delivery system through our roads, our rail, and our water, and our ports. And so that we can command a superior price and we can sell that product, and the demand for our product continues to grow.
I want to talk a little bit about Louisiana's impact on the rest of the country and the world, as a matter of fact, from an agriculture and forestry standpoint. We come back from the break, but I did want to mention, you're looking at a former LSU Ag Center employee, worked for Dr. Rouse Caffey and
Wow.
was a
Yes.
sweet potato specialist back in the 80s when I was in college. We'll come back. We're going to talk about our impact on the rest of the world. We're visiting with Dr. Mike Strain. He's the commissioner of the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this.
BIC Media Solutions is a marketing and communication, media advisory, and event planning company within BIC Alliance. BIC Media Solutions offers custom book publishing, event planning, and keynote speaking to its clients in the business and industrial sector, and marketing partnerships to others in publishing. BIC Alliance is your business and industry connection. Contact BIC Alliance today.
What if I said that the American dream is alive and well, and that it exists for anyone willing to build it? That the power of a nation does not reside in its monuments, but in the hearts and minds of those who built them, and that the country's greatest heroes also wear hard hats. In today's America, it's not enough to dream about the future. You have to build it. Build your future at byf.org.
Consumers and property owners with a construction project can have a very successful result or a regretful experience that could have been avoided. Before beginning any construction project in Louisiana, verify licensure of the contractor and check references. Scammers may claim to be licensed or bonded, but you should ask for a copy of the license. For additional information, contact the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors or go to the website lslbc.louisiana.gov. Licensed and qualified contractors. It's the law.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Very pleased to have as my guest today Dr. Mike Strain, who is the Commissioner of the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry. And Mike set up the department in the first segment, talked about a $12.7 billion economic impact from agriculture and forestry in our state. The leaders in that significant impact in 2014 were forestry, beef cattle, soybeans. I know aquaculture, fisheries, crawfish. They all play a role.
Huge.
Talk about the big drivers.
We're blessed, not only in our diversification, but if you look at timber, the forestry industry, and I am over the Office of Forestry. I'm also the Commissioner of Forestry. And so when you look at the forest inventory, we have $20 billion in forest inventory, 14 million acres of actively farmed timber. And what's happening now, there's a pent-up demand for single-family dwelling because of the Great Recession. There were less homes being built. Now they're starting to be built. Also, as the overall worldwide economy and the national economy improves, then there's the demand for boxes and paper. In addition to that, look what's going on here again at the river with Drax. And what's happening now, we're using wood pellets for energy. So there's been a decrease overall in where we were slowing down, and now we're growing back. And so the overall value of timber has increased, and now it's about $3.4 billion. That's the value of that particular yearly wood basket. But it puts $6 to $8 billion a year in the economy. It pays over $720 million a year in federal, state, and local taxes.
Say that again.
$721 million a year. Louisiana timber industry pays in federal, state, and local taxes. And so it is huge. Think about the entire state as about 27.5 million acres. 14 million acres are in active farming of timber. We fight fire. We are the largest firefighting unit in the state. We are the state's firefighters through the Office of Forestry. We fight fires on 18 million acres. And so it's a huge deal that we do. Plus, see, we have aircraft in the air during any time that the timber can burn, surveillance, and then when the fire starts, we work, using GIS and doing a number of other things, bringing our firefighters to that spot rapidly to contain those fires.
I don't think that the average viewer, the average citizen in Louisiana realizes the extent to which your office touches our daily lives. I mean, if you think about it. Now, here's another area. You mentioned weights and measures, and if you go to any gas pump in the state, you'll see a sticker with your name on it generally because you've calibrated and your office has made sure that those pumps were accurate. The other driver that we talk about in this huge economic impact is beef cattle. I don't know that the state...
Tremendous value in beef cattle, and you're looking at this year about $450 million a year just in the beef industry. And so when you look at what is driving that, this year, by the end of this year, we expect that the American demand for American beef, will be greater than the American supply of beef.
Really?
And so supply and demand, and also the foreign demand for our product is growing. And so that is driving the overall value of beef. Beef is a tremendous investment and is growing. Look at soybeans. We have a record number of acres. We will probably plant 1.5 million acres of soybeans this year. And we have the national record of 57 bushels an acre. That comes from a number of things: science, technology, innovation, research and extension, hard work of our farmers and everybody in between. But soybeans, $1 billion industry. And so when you look at those, and then don't forget about poultry, that $2 billion, and poultry is poised to grow. Soybeans are poised to grow. My message this morning when I did the radio broadcast is that we're going to have a few more corn acres in the United States than originally intended, so we give what's called the planting intentions. Here in Louisiana, we're going to have a little less corn because of the weather. So we look at the weather every day, and then we inform the farmers about what the trends are so they can make the maximum decisions. But when you look at corn and beans, we're going to have more wheat, and then you start talking about the new markets. We talk about opening up Cuba and the Cuban market. What does Cuba mean? Cuba means they net import 400,000 tons of rice, 600,000 tons of wheat. Before the embargo, Port of New Orleans, 60% of the exports to and imports from Cuba came through the Port of New Orleans. So if you look at all these trade issues, if you look at China, this week announced they're going to be buying more rice, and they're going to be buying more cotton. And so when you look at all this, all of this has a tremendous, tremendous impact.
Well, you think about the ongoing economic impact, and we've got about 2 minutes left in this segment, but one of the things we don't often think about is employment in those industries and the huge number of people that earn their living.
Forestry and aquaculture industry is the largest employer in the state.
People don't
Currently,
know that.
More than 250,000 people work directly in those industries. If you look overall, 1 in 7 people work in some aspect of the food industry. And so it's the largest employer, and it is growing. And it is high tech, and I can tell you there's a demand for those jobs. There's the demand for our products and the growth. That's the future. The future of growth here in Louisiana, one of the major components is going to be in the natural resource-based industry. And agriculture, forestry, and aquaculture is sustainable and infinitely renewable.
Well, and I've said this often, Mike, that we have so many advantages here in this state, not the least of which is that we sit at the mouth of the greatest economic transportation artery in the world, the Mississippi River. We've got about a minute left. Give us 30 seconds on the importance of the ports.
We are a navigation state. 2/3 of the grain exported from the United States is exported through Louisiana's 5 ports. 60% of the grain exported in the United States comes down the mighty Mississippi River. On the phone on my way here, we were talking about a superport to move cargo. If we build that superport at the mouth of the river or anywhere up from the mouth of the river all the way anywhere to Baton Rouge, whether it's Port of New Orleans, Baton Rouge, we start bringing in those Panamax vessels, it will further increase the shipment down the Mississippi River another 15 to 20%. 30 states and 2 provinces bring their goods and cargo. And we're talking about coal, iron ore, and all that down the mighty Mississippi River. We are a maritime state.
It's amazing. We're going to have to take a break. Come back. Got a lot more to talk to. The legislative session's about to start. We're visiting with Dr. Mike Strain. He's the commissioner of the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.
Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College. Do you want a better life?
Get your associate's degree in occupational studies in information technology from ITI. In 2 years, you'll be on your way to a better life. You will get hands-on specialized training in computers, hardware and software, networking, and more. ITI offers flexible class schedules, and financial aid is available to those who qualify.
So don't wait. Call ITI now or go online. It's that simple.
ITI for a better life.
The funny thing about Louisiana is that people don't often ask you why you moved home. They just accept it as the most natural thing in the world. Because of course I would want to move back home and be near my tribe, be in this beautiful landscape. It just inspires me. Whether it's a golden marshland, an expanse of sugarcane fields, a sunset through a cypress swamp, the outdoors here really are like nowhere else. You can start your day off paddling at Lake Martin, finish it off with music at the Blue Moon. I came home for my dream job, but also because I believe in Louisiana and where it's going. We're building a world-class Central Park in Louisiana, planned by the members of this community. And I just bought my dream home, a sustainable house designed and built by the architecture students here at the university. My electricity bill was $30 last month. The life I thought I would have in Austin is actually happening right here in Louisiana. I'm E.B. Brooks. I have the job I want in the place I love.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. We're visiting with Dr. Mike Strain. He's the commissioner of the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and we know it's coming. As we tape here today, the beginning of the 2015 legislative session is just a few days away. State's facing a $1.6 billion deficit. What's your department going to be focused on and watching for?
Well, what we're going to have, we have our normal legislative package. We have 17 bills in our package, and we're going to be watching about 25 bills total that directly affect agriculture. But as we're moving forward, you know, I'm an ex-legislator, or how you say, a legislator in recovery.
Yeah.
But I truly love the legislative sessions. And when I was first elected, we had a $1 billion deficit with a $9.6 billion budget, and we corrected and we dealt with it. And so my promise to the legislators, and I'll be working with the caucuses and specifically with the Rural Caucus and Jack Montesay and the chairman of the committees, that we're going to be there every day. And we're there during session. You know, I have an office in the Capitol as well. And we're going to be working with them as we find solutions. And my message is that our solutions have to be conducive to the growth of the economy and correcting the problems that we have, that we cannot kick the can down the road because it's like kicking a 55-gallon drum up a hill now. We must deal with this now, and we need to deal with it in such a way that we grow our way forward. And for instance, when you look at agriculture, $12.7 billion. In 10 years, we're going to be at $25 billion if we do the things that are necessary to increase productivity, increase profitability, and be environmentally sustainable. And that comes about in a great deal due to the research and development of our ag centers and our universities. Now, in the current budget, those budgets are being cut dramatically.
As much as potentially 80%.
And so when you look at, you know, you can look at peer-reviewed articles, and anywhere from $25 to $32 return on every dollar investment in public research and agriculture.
Say that again. $25 to $32 for every dollar invested, that's the return.
So what does that mean? If you cut to LSU Ag Center, if you take the cuts, $27 million, and they lose another $10 to $12 million of matching money that goes into research and development, what will happen? That $37 million, now you multiply that by 32, you're at $1 billion. With a B, $1 billion. So what it means is if we don't do the research and development where we could have productivity at this level, it may only come to this level. When we have a new disease we have to fight, we may not have the tools to fight it. When you look at ways to be more profitable, to be better utilizers of water, fertilizer, and all the many different things, that comes in part and in a great part from our public university. Research is local. When you talk about, you used to work at the Chase Research Center there in Sweet Potatoes, we lead the world in sweet potato research. We lead the world. One of the reasons ConAgra moved and built a plant here is because of our research. So what our message is that we need to do what is necessary. We're going to have to make some hard votes, and I'm asking the public to support the legislators that vote with their hearts and their heads to do what is right, but we have to earn and grow our way forward, and we have to invest in those things that are going to make those returns. And part of that, proven part of that, is in agriculture.
Well, you just used the word investment, and that's truly what it is going forward, right? We've got to invest in those things that will provide a return and improve our state going forward, and look to reduce spending on those things that don't necessarily. When you talk about a 25 to 30 to 1 return on investment from an agriculture perspective, that's huge. So you're out there talking to legislators. I know you are. I've asked this question of a number of folks that have been on the show recently. What are they telling you?
They're telling me that they're going to do whatever they can. They're going to take a hard look at the issues, and we're going to stick together. And so, the good thing about coming from that culture and being part of that culture, I still work very, very well with our legislators.
You understand
I understand it. I've been where they are now. I'm also in their districts talking to their supporters, and my message and their message back to me is that we're in this together, and we're ready to do what is necessary, and we're going to make those hard choices. And we're going to work together today, tomorrow, and the next day, and we're going to put our eyes on the ball. I want you to think about this as we close. Never before has Louisiana had the opportunities we have today in natural resource-based industries. When I was a legislator, I said, if we ever get it one more time, this time we won't blow it. Well, this time we have to make sure we invest it properly to grow our way forward.
30 seconds, what's your message to Louisiana's business community?
That we need to look at all aspects, everything that earns money. We need to double down and earn and work our way forward. We need to stick together. Business, industry, agriculture, forestry, aquaculture, oil, gas, all of those things, we need to work together on a local basis, state basis, and a federal basis, and that we have to speak loudly and collectively, and that we need to work together. And if we do this, and then invest the monies that we earn, put them back where they need to be, in education, invest in our young people, R&D, and we have to do everything together to facilitate commerce. If we do this, and then this $1.6 billion deficit will just be another footnote of the past.
Dr. Mike Strain, thank you for being with us today. It's been a great pleasure. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.